Time now for the markets with Leighton, and we're only a week away from the June 30th planted acreage report from USDA.
A report that could be a market mover, and we'll be talking in a moment about what it may have to say about soybeans. Also in our market headlines this week, U.S. catfish processing is down. A shortage of market hogs in the United States is now possible, while some poultry processors are expecting lower grain prices. The latest snapshot of the U.S. farm-raised catfish industry came out on Tuesday the 17th. In May, producers in the United States received a pond bank price of $1.21 per pound for premium-sized live fish. That is 28 cents per pound more than was paid 1 year ago. Farm sales totaled just a touch over 22 million pounds round weight. That is a drop of 18% from May of 2013. And processor sales were also down in May, down 4% when compared to 1 year ago. The feeder cattle market posted limit down losses in the futures on Wednesday of this past week. Traders at Brugler Marketing say it was a result of the large spec funds taking money off the table ahead of the June 20th cattle on feed report. The limit down surge in feeders also sent live cattle contracts lower at the Merc on Wednesday. As we record Thursday at midday, feeder cattle were back in the green. Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley provided a preview of the new on-feed numbers when I interviewed him one day ahead of the new report. John Michael, the pre-reports indicating any dramatic changes as far as the on-feed numbers?
Nothing dramatic. It's really just continuing with the trend that we've been seeing for the past number of months, a continual decline in the total inventories of cattle available, fewer cattle being placed on feed, and then overall, as a result of that, fewer cattle marketed. The marketing's number is probably the most, the widest range in terms of the pre-report guesses, largely due to the month of May that is the start of the grilling season. You've got Memorial Day in there, so there's a lot of uncertainty about how the total marketings during the month of May is going to shape up. So that's the one that we're least certain about, but everything's just a continual trend in terms of a total drop in supplies.
Is there anything in this report that could tell us whether herd expansion is underway, or is that something we'll have to wait on a little bit longer?
Well, this will be a quarterly report. We'll be able to see the breakout by class, so we'll know how many heifers were placed, and that's always a good indicator in terms of heifers being retained back. But I think just the general consensus as I visit with producers across the state and a recent meeting with other extension specialists in the region, I do sense that there is a hope to expand, but the limitations are still there in terms of just capital requirements and whatnot.
All right, Wednesday this week we had a turn limit down as far as feeder cattle. That got a big headline. Is that just an anomaly? I know this morning as we record Thursday, things are kind of back in the green here. It
is. I think it's been called sell the expectation and buy the fact. I think what happened is there was some money on the table, and we had some traders there that decided to take it off before the report, just in case the report didn't shake out like we're expecting. It is back up to where we started the day yesterday. So it's recovered most of those losses, but it is just a very volatile market that we're working in, where we're up $10 per hundredweight just since the start of June for our feeder cattle contracts, and so that's a significant move just in a short period of time, and so this volatility is probably going to continue.
The back and forth discussion on how significant an impact the porcine epidemic diarrhea virus is having on the pork industry continues. Analyst Walt Hackney now says the idea that we'll see a shortage of hogs is back on the table and looks very real.
At first, the industry thought it's been overstated a little bit, the death loss. We don't have the 10% death loss that had been anticipated. Then again, all of a sudden, it looked like, well, we do. Now it looks like that we're going to have a general shortage of market hogs through the third quarter. At the end of the third quarter, however, then the guesswork really starts.
We break from the markets for a moment to look at the trivia quiz for this week. The question is about watermelons. Here it is. How many acres of watermelons were harvested in Mississippi in 2013? Is the answer 1,000, 1,600, 2,000 acres, or 2,500? I'll tell you at the end of the markets. This week brought a glimpse of what the highly anticipated June 30th acreage report may have to say about this year's U.S. crops. Analyst Elaine Cubb says that Informa Economics is hinting at numbers that show a slight switch from corn to soybeans thereby pushing soybean acreage higher this year.
And I actually am really on board with what they're thinking there is perhaps a slight increase in soybean acreage, perhaps 300,000 extra acres adding on to the 81.5 million acres that USDA last weighed in on for soybean acres. And that makes sense when you consider that there has been some localized lateness, some wetness in the northern plains. They're on track now, and they're certainly going to catch up and get probably all of their soybean acres planted in North Dakota, Wisconsin type of areas. But there may have been some slight amount of switching from corn to soybeans that may be a bearish factor when that comes along.
Officials at Laurel-based chicken processor Sanderson Farms have been putting a pencil to what they think some grain prices may do by the end of this year. The company says it believes that corn could fall to $4 a bushel from about $4.52 now. And soybean meal could drop, according to Sanderson, as low as $375 per ton from its current position of near $531 per ton. Analysts say if these prices do come to pass, Sanderson and other chicken companies could experience what is being termed a cost tailwind. And before our feature story, we revisit the trivia quiz and give you the answer. The correct choice this week is C. 2,000 acres of watermelons were harvested in Mississippi last year.